Hi, I'm Bonnie DeShong from WGCI Chicago.
Welcome to Detroit. Go right in.
Thank you.
Vinnie Brown, Program Director, and Wendy Williams, KISS FM, New York City.
She's hot as hell on Hot 97. What's up, girl?
Hi, this is my first time coming out to Tuffy's little jam here at Jimmy's. This is the bomb. Easy parking, great crowd, 3 comedians, great booze.
How Suge did manage to shake him down for some dough. Or at least that's how the story goes.
He probably took, I don't know, 3-4 million, whatever. But I look at it in a positive way because, it's not about money, and I ended up with way more anyway.
And his mom and dad are still together, and they have what is being portrayed as a very solid family. And so when Drew met him years ago, just dating, in my mind, she probably really dug because, based on where she's come from. I mean, the Barrymores are talented, but a real mess. Kind of like the Hemingways, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So the Barrymore family, Drew, she didn't grow up with what they call the picket fence and the 2 parents and sobriety and,
The bottom line is, my book comes out in the fall. Buy it if you want to, don't if you don't. Watch the show if you want to, don't if you don't. End of the show.
Okay, Omarosa, let's talk about, I know you don't want to talk about the divorced ex-husband, but are you dating now?
I date. I have a lot of fun.
What types of men do you date? And what?
The gay community stood up for me because I've always been an ambassador for them. And, and then sometimes I get a couple suckers on Instagram who try to say, oh, yeah, you gay. I'm like, where's this coming from? You heard it from that dumbass, and then you heard it from that stupid bitch, Wendy Williams. And fuck all of them. Fuck all of them.
Wendy Williams, pretty much one of the most controversial figures when it comes to radio and television. Even though, one can say that she broke down barriers for a lot of black radio broadcasters to talk a lot of smack on the radio. I've heard a lot of people say she was like the black Howard Stern or whatever. But let's be real. She had her issues with plenty of celebrities ranging from artists to actors to business moguls. It's not even funny. I mean, before I really go further with this episode, I just want to say, yes, I am aware of what's going on with Wendy Williams' health. You know what I'm saying? But this video was planned way before I knew what was going on with her, so don't take this as a way of me bashing Wendy and stuff like that. I'm just pointing out what was going on behind the scenes, as I do all the time on this show. So with this episode, I'm pretty much going to go analyze certain spats that she had with certain moguls when it comes to music and media in general and stuff like that. So, just going to go down by the list. I'm not going to talk about every beef that she had because that's going to take up all of the time and stuff. So, yeah, let's get this shit started.
You know what I mean? Everybody was attacking him, unfortunately,
Wendy Williams, she was the one that started that rumor that Tupac got raped in prison, right?
Exactly, like that. Wendy Williams, at that particular time, she was hot on the radio. And she started rumor Pac got raped in prison. He in prison. He said, I'm in prison and I'm listening to these things. And and that's when he just you know what, when I come home, I seen myself personally, going to see Pac and seeing what he was going through. I seen the switch. I seen when, you hear people like, oh, he was fronting. No. They pushed Pac to that place.
So the first people we're going to talk about got to be Tupac and Angie Martinez. And I want to kind of put these two together because the story kind of going with one another. So it all started, in 1995. Pac was in prison for the whole sexual assault case, that bullshit case, if you ask me. And Wendy Williams pretty much made a false rumor that Tupac got raped in prison. And so, this also got furthered when, Chino XL had that song Riot. And, he had that, line where he talking about, Pac got raped in prison or whatever. But it was really Wendy Williams that started the rumor. And so this, when Tupac came out, this pretty much angered, Pac and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So he made a diss track called Why You Turn On Me. But the thing about that diss track was that came out after he got murdered in 1996, to be exact. So with that song, Why You Turn On Me, he pretty much went in on Wendy Williams among others. He over here calling Wendy Williams overweight and needed Jenny Craig, and just was brutal with her and stuff like that. And of course, one cannot blame him for how he felt, you know what I'm saying, because of the fact that pretty much, Wendy made up that rumors and he was going through, a terrible ordeal. So yeah, one cannot really blame. So when Angie Martinez came in the picture, she came in the picture, because, of course, she was cool with Pac at that time. And so she didn't like the fact that, she said that line about, Tupac getting raped in prison.
My home is an open door, but then you picked a new direction. In a blink of an eye, my time away is made perfection. To think I die, I never got a single visit, yet I carry on. All my old friends too busy, now my money gone. Said I got raped in jail, picture that. Revenge is a payback, bitch. Get your gat, fuck Wendy Williams, and I pray you choke on the next stick down your throat for turning on me. Used to have love for him, but now they turning on me. Why me? Fat bitch can't fuck with me. Stug like biatch. Get your cash on, nigga, 5 times platinum. What's that? Daylight got a problem with this hard shit. Ever since me, myself, and I, y'all been garbage. I'ma keep it real, show you how it feels to ride. Y'all went 3 feet and stopped rising. I ain't seen shit. Wendy Williams is a fat bitch, that's the truth. I got a jar full of niggas nuts, that's for you. Let the west side, east side drama see. I come along to your own streets. Outlaw, prepare for panic when I unleash. Niggas is lucky if they leave here in one piece. Queen Puff never.
And when it comes to her 2016 memoir, My Voice, she talked about the interview that she did with Pac. The interview that was never released. And so she said, and I quote what Pac said to her, "I got a beef with Wendy Williams saying I got raped in jail because that disrespected me, my family, and what I represent." Wendy Williams, on the other hand, she pretty much didn't really care about what Pac had to say because she pretty much credited Tupac for really breaking it out in the mainstream, if that makes sense, And she said, and I quote, in a 2012 interview with the Hollywood Reporter, "Without those song mentions, I might not be on TV right now. There's a large segment who may have not heard about me on the radio, but they heard Tupac tell me I needed to go to Jenny Craig," unquote. Speaking of Angie Martinez, so one time in 1997, Angie Martinez and Wendy Williams, they were both radio DJs at the time, both working for Hot 97. And so what had happened was, Angie Martinez was dating Q-Tip at the time. And so Wendy Williams, she said some shit about Angie Martinez and Q-Tip, on the air, throwing shade as she usually does. So on Wendy's side of the story, she said, and I quote, "One of my co-workers is dating Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest. Oh well, I guess some women like men who like men." And so this is going to be a recurring theme when it comes to Wendy Williams, how she accused certain motherfuckers of being gay. And Angie Martinez, she was angry about it. And when she wrote in her book, she said, and I quote, "Everybody was gay to Wendy. Every rapper you can think of in that era, I had heard Wendy Williams call them gay. Not one or two, like every one of them." Stay tuned on that. And so after Angie Martinez, she made like a couple of attempts, to squash it, but Wendy wasn't listening. So one night, Wendy and Angie, they pretty much had a fight at the Hot 97 offices. Angie wrote in her book, and I quote, "I lost my fucking mind. Before I knew it, I was swinging at her. it was a quick shuffle. It took only a few seconds for me to realize that she wasn't really hitting back. She was just trying to get me off of her. And so, you know, the fight got broken up. And so they said Wendy Williams grabbed like a mop and whatnot, you know, just to protect herself. And so Angie Martinez was looking at her like, you know, and I quote, she just stood there with it like she wanted to have some sort of sword fight or something. It was actually kind of funny even in the moment. Just the thought of Wendy Williams, you know, just grabbing a mop, acting like she's going to do something. It's just funny to me, you know. But other than that, you know, this led to the two of them actually getting suspended from Hot 97. And you know what was even crazy? Wendy Williams fans, they pretty much protested outside of Hot 97 for her to come back. You know, because, you know, at that time, Wendy Williams, you know, she was really popular like around the late 90s because, like I said, there was not a lot of black women who was radio DJs that was doing what Wendy was doing, you know, talking shit about celebrities and rappers and whatnot too. So, and then those same Wendy fans even threatened Angie Martinez. So Angie Martinez wrote in her book, and I quote, "I used to get threatening faxes that said things like, 'Bitch, get off the radio, I'll break your jaw.' It was awful and it made me insecure." So Wendy Williams, you know, she was pretty much shown the Hot 97 door, and pretty much, you know, that's when Hot 97 was pretty much just fed up with Wendy Williams and stuff like that. And so Angie Martinez actually took over Wendy Williams' afternoon slot, pretty much. So yeah, that's just pretty much how the whole shit happened between Angie and Wendy. But at the same time too, Angie Martinez, you know, she was very respectful when it came to Wendy Williams' success. And she even quoted saying that she used to watch a TV talk show and whatnot, and she found herself laughing at a lot of shit that Wendy be saying. So the late great Whitney Houston and Wendy Williams definitely had a very complicated relationship. You know, around like the late 90s and 2000s, you know, Wendy Williams definitely did not make no shortage of giving like a Whitney joke, you know, always mention her drug usage and whatnot too. And this can sometimes be seen as two ways. One way, it can be seen as Wendy just talking about Whitney Houston because, you know, the media was very heavy on, you know, bashing Whitney at that time due to her drug usage and her marriage to Bobby Brown, you know, who was having like hella legal issues around that time too. And another way, you know, people can see it as Wendy actually feeling sorry for Whitney because Wendy Williams, you know, had her own drug issues, which she was very candid about. And so she probably saw and was disappointed of how Whitney Houston let drugs take control of her. So one day in 2003, you know, Wendy Williams actually interviewed Whitney Houston, and this was a very, very, very big interview because not a lot of people thought that Whitney would ever interview Wendy Williams and whatnot. So this was like a very must-hear interview. And so the interview started off with you know, Wendy Williams, you know, talking about, you know, how she never met Whitney, and Whitney pretty much saying, and I quote, "Isn't that something? You talk about me all the time," unquote. And so the interview went, it had no hold bears, you know what I'm saying? Because Wendy mentioned everything from the infamous Diane Sawyer Quack is Whack interview, to Bobby Brown's on and off legal issues, you know, to the drug usage and whatnot. And so things really took a higher pitch when Wendy Williams asked Whitney if, you know, she was still using drugs. And, you know, they were both arguing and everything like that. And so Wendy was wondering why Whitney Houston was being defensive. And so Whitney said, and I quote, "I have to be, Wendy. You talk about me every fucking day," unquote.
It's not the same. Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Okay, let's go in. Whitney.
Wendy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my Lord, have I waited for this day?
Have you?
Well, yes, I have. Haven't you?
Whitney.
Yes, dear.
Absolutely.
I know it.
I don't believe that I've ever met you in my entire career.
Ain't that Brother, you talk about me all the time.
And you are top billing.
Is that why you talk about me all the time?
Absolutely.
You don't even know me.
But here's the thing. I talk about you in two ways. In the way that the media talks about Whitney.
Yes.
But I always talk about you as being one of the greatest voices of our time. Mariah Carey is another one. You two do two separate works, but you have a voice that is just unbeatable, Whitney.
I love you, Wendy, and I thank you for that. I really do, because I know, in spite of everything, you play my records.
I do.
I know that.
And I also feel like you and I have something in common.
We do.
Well, yeah, besides the, the motherhood.
So yeah, so then that's how the interview went about and stuff like that. And so according to Robin Crawford, who is pretty much, Whitney Houston's quote unquote friend, she talked about how Whitney Houston actually planned to confront Wendy Williams. And mind you, she actually said this interview when she appeared on the Wendy Williams show. And so, because at that time she was promoting her book. And so, yeah, man, it was just crazy. She said, and I quote, "Everyone lived by the radio back then. We're in the car and you're like talking like you lived with us, like you're roommates with us. We'd be in the car and Wendy would be like, who is she? Who is this woman? I don't even know what she looks like." And so Wendy Williams said, and like she was very shocked by the revelation. And she said, and I quote, Robin, I can't even fight. I would have ran. And so Robin pretty much said that they had no intention of fighting Whitney, and it was just going to be a face-to-face chat. And you know what's very interesting, though, back to Wendy, is that she pretty much took Whitney Houston's death very hard. Like, one episode she was crying a lot and stuff like that, too. So this could be seen as her, just feeling sorry for Whitney in a way and stuff, too. So yeah, man, that's very crazy.
Sad story regarding Whitney Houston, right? So young, so talented, so legendary and iconic, and only 48 years old. I was at home in New Jersey when I heard the news, and I don't remember much else after that. I know I was not answering phone calls. I wasn't making phone calls. I turned off the TV. I did not watch the Grammys. I did not watch the Fashion Police before the Grammys. Like, I did nothing. I started a new book this weekend, so I started reading. And that was about it. I kind of shut down and, went into my shell and, thinking about Whitney. And some of the details of her death, and they're still unfolding. We're hearing that she drowned. We're hearing that she was in the bathtub. We're hearing that she was at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Do I meet her one day? But I always pictured that time to be in our late 50s, 60s, with her being the number one spokesperson for Say No. I just, for some reason, thought that that's what she would do. It's what I want to do. I just thought we would meet.
How you doing? How you doing?
So you met Whitney when you were teens. How old were you girls?
I had just turned 19, and she was soon to be 17 that summer.
And where did you meet?
We met at the Community Development Center in East Orange, New Jersey. That was summer jobs for counselors.
And how was Whitney back then, like when you first met her?
She was awesome. She had this presence that was just like, what's your name? And she said, Whitney Elizabeth Houston.
Oh.
That's how she introduced
herself. She big-timed you.
With a handle.
With a handle.
Okay. That's good. I'll keep an eye out for you.
So then summer camp ends and you guys maintain friendship.
We got to know each other.
So this happened in the year 2000, Destiny's Child, they were going through the infamous personnel changes when Latavia Robinson and LaToya Luckett got kicked out the group. And, they got replaced by Michelle Williams and Farrah Franklin. And next thing you know, Farrah Franklin got removed from the group too. And that's when the trio of Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle happened. And so many fans were wondering what had happened with the group. Why was there so many personnel changes? And so Wendy Williams, when she was working on Power 99, she pretty much gave like a full breakdown about what had happened. And what really set it off was when she referred to Destiny's Child as, and I quote, Beyonce and the girls. And so she ended up angering like a lot of Destiny's Child fans when she brought up rumors that like the group was hooking up with R&B group Jagged Edge while they were on tour. And so, that kind of like caused like a lot of controversy and whatnot too around that time. And Matthew Knowles, of course, he was very angry about that too. So, what ended up happening, Wendy Williams over the years, she would always make snide remarks about Beyonce and how she couldn't really sing. And, pretty much, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. This whole thing with Beyonce, this really deserves an episode on its own, to be quite honest with you. But, like I said, I'm not trying to waste hell episodes on about Wendy Williams and shit. But, in 2012, she talked about, how Beyonce can't sing. And, she was making fun about her education level and stuff like that. But at the same time, she referred to herself as a Beyonce fan. And this was around the time when Beyonce had that HBO documentary, Life is But a Dream. And, she was talking about how she can't wait to watch it. So, it's just that she ended up, playing herself like, you're a Beyonce fan, but you talking mad shit. Okay. But it doesn't really end there, She ended up, talking shit about how, and I quote, Beyonce sounds like she has a 5th grade education. She can't talk, unquote. Then fast forward to April of 2016, the Beehive pretty much got angry at her, when around that time too, the whole Beyonce Jay-Z Solange elevator incident happened. And Wendy Williams opened her mouth and claimed that, Jay-Z paid the fashion designer Rachel Roy to make up the drama so they can promote Beyonce's Lemonade release. She said, and I quote, "So Rachel Roy, first of all, you're not this fighting girl. Unless you're on Jay-Z and Beyonce's payroll and they pay you to mix it up for, I guess, sales for the Lemonade," unquote. So yeah, man, like I said, there's like a lot of things about this that I can really go on about. So I just want to go to the main points. Another segment that could have had a whole episode to itself, but
3, 4 in the morning, going to work every day, not ever really traveling, to in 2 weeks, practicing for 12 hours a day, waking up at 5 and 6 in the morning, not really getting much sleep, just basically going through a crazy schedule. And I don't think Farrah or Michelle even knew how hard this was going to be. Michelle had been on tour with Monica before, so she already had a taste of this. So basically, Farrah just got really frustrated. The stress was crazy. Everybody was tired. Farrah said that she had to leave. So she left and went home. The 3 of us continued the interview. It was in Seattle. The next day we had another big show for the Seattle radio station, and MTV was also recording it. And it was a very, very important show for us. It was live on the web. And Farrah also didn't show up for that. That night we had an Australian...
Bear with me on this one. So, Puffy and Wendy, they knew each other, when Wendy was in the radio days. And around that time, Puffy at that time was working for Uptown Records, getting ready for Bad Boy. And so years later, in 1998, that's when their relationship pretty much shifted, when Wendy Williams pretty much alleged that Diddy was gay. And so this pretty much, soured their relationship. And, again, going back to when I was mentioning the whole Angie Martinez thing, this was when Wendy was pretty much saying every rapper was gay. But I think when she said that Diddy was gay, that was really like one of the first times. And so Diddy pretty much, got Wendy Williams fired from Hot 97 too. And so this is what Wendy said when she was getting ready to promote her Lifetime biopic. She said, and I quote, "I want to tell you something, and this is a real story, and it will play it out in my Lifetime biography, which comes out in February. Once upon a time, there was a music mogul who sent his all-girl group to beat my ass in front of this radio station. Fact. Shift, round up my headphones, put my bag on my arm, see everybody lined up at the window looking out at the sidewalk." Unquote. Yes, you heard that right. So, the girl group that she speaks of was Total. And, you know, Wendy also ruffled feathers with Total too, when she said on the air that, you know, that Diddy wasn't paying them right and whatnot too. And so, you know, Total heard the radio, and that's when they wanted to confront Wendy. And so this is what happened. So they were about to confront Wendy, and then Wendy Williams' husband, then husband, Kevin Hunter, was ready to put his paws on them. So Wendy further continued describing the incident as, and I quote, "I find this girl group jumped out of a gypsy cab to come after me, to beat my ass. For what? You know what I said was true. You all were broke and you were living in the projects, and that was that." Unquote. So next thing you know Wendy also had an issue with Lil' Kim. You know what I'm saying? And so, Lil' Kim, technically, of course, she was not a bad boy artist, but, she was around Biggie and she did a lot of work with bad boy artists, so she was just a bad boy artist by proxy, if that makes sense. So what ended up happening, Wendy Williams, she never really cared for Lil' Kim.
Hot 97 personality Wendy Williams has a lot to say when it comes to Lil' Kim. She often speaks to kids about the hip-hop world, like here at Hubbard Middle School in Plainfield, New Jersey. Negative influences on kids, especially young girls, concerns Williams. The DJ tells students the industry is not always as prosperous as it seems.
There is a pecking order and a big price to pay for getting down the way some of these females are getting down. A big price.
Because, back in the late 90s, she would always used to protest against Lil' Kim. And little trivia, Wendy Williams back in the day used to date Biggie too. Yeah, man, crazy shit, So, Lil' Kim, over the years, she expressed her hatred about Wendy Williams. And she said how Wendy Williams always used to make fun of Lil' Kim's face. And so fast forward to 2013, Wendy Williams was doing the Hot Topic segment, and then that's when she brought up Lil' Kim's appearance. And so when Lil' Kim's picture popped up, Wendy started laughing, and she choked on her drink and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? She mentioned that Lil' Kim was making headlines because of her quote-unquote drastic new look. And so when she was on the show, she said, and I quote, "She's been getting stuff like done. Filled. It looks so tight now, Kim. It looks like your pen would just pop you." Unquote.
Just in time for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. Halloween?
Halloween? Yeah.
Close to Halloween. Stop. November 2nd. That was not a read.
Jesus Christ. Damn, she is vicious. And so Wendy Williams pretty much brought up the rapper's claims about, the image being doctored. And Wendy Williams wasn't really buying that. And she said that Lil' Kim was just caught at the wrong time or in an unflattering angle. So Lil' Kim, of course, being the person to never back down, as evidence with Foxy Brown to 50 Cent and so on and so on. She pretty much went on Twitter and responded directly to Wendy's promo saying, and I quote, "Stop hating on me because you sucked Big's dick. And he didn't want nothing to do with you after that." Unquote. Jesus Christ, man. How many love triangles was Biggie involved in? It was like Biggie, Kim, and Faith. Biggie, Faith, and Charlie Baltimore. Biggie, Kim, and Wendy Williams. Biggie, Tootie, and Blair. Biggie, I don't know what the fuck. Jesus Christ, man. Biggs was just a nigga, man. I don't give a fuck. Don't give no fucks. So a few moments later, This is what Lil Kim said, and I quote, "It's time for the world to know the real. I'm not playing with your ass no more." Unquote. So Wendy Williams never really addressed to Lil Kim, but something interesting did happen, around this time. Like Diddy and Wendy Williams, they actually ended the feud, and Diddy actually appeared on Wendy Williams' show and whatnot, which that was a very big thing, because the two actually sat down. They said how much they were immature at that time too. So that was a very good look on whatnot. This episode's probably one of the most coldest beefs that's happened, and it involved Wendy Williams, Method Man, and his wife. So pretty much what had happened was in 2006, Wendy Williams went on the air in her radio, and she broke the news on air that Method Man's wife was going through cancer. And this was shocking because not only that it was because that his wife didn't even tell the family members at that time. And Method Man was very upset about it because it was like his private business was being broadcast on the radio. So he pretty much gets on a video and he said, and I quote, Wendy gets on the air and said his wife is sick and she's not doing too well. I was so mad I was crying right there. Unquote.
I think your wife was going through a situation just recently, man. How did that resolve itself? Everything all right now?
I'd like to know how you found out.
MTV.
MTV, what did they say?
They said that you were going through something with your wife. Like, I think she was sick or something like that, right?
Yeah, she was sick.
Is she all right now?
I'd like to thank Wendy Williams for bringing that to the masses because she didn't have to go on the radio and say that shit. I like to keep stuff like that private, but yeah, she was sick.
But everything's all right now. All right.
Better than what it was.
Well, then that's what's up.
Definitely
That's what's
better
up.
than what it was.
That's what's up, man. I know all of us go through it, you know what I
I
mean?
be feeling like, yo, that ain't nobody fucking business right there, though. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it and shit. That's her business. She didn't want anybody to know about it. You know what I'm saying? And I respected her wishes right there. So for the media to bring that and put that shit out there like that, I think that shit is mad tacky and disrespectful.
So fast forward to January 28, 2021. Wendy Williams was getting ready to promote her Lifetime biopic, Wendy Williams the movie, and she had a documentary where she says Wendy Williams was a mess, and she alleged that Method Man and her had a one-night stand. She was revealing like a lot of tea in that documentary, if you ask me, but that's another story for a different day. This was during the time, when she also revealed that she was raped too. And so, she talked about, the one night stand that she had with Method Man, how, they were both into it and stuff like that too. And so she described it, and I quote, "I spoke to Blunt with Method Man while I gave him a bath and it was a one night stand. He'll deny it, maybe not. It wasn't in the movie because he is still very angry at me for being me, for telling the truth. It was a one night stand." Unquote. So she wasn't done there. So when she got more into the night, she talked about how there was a club and there was a party at a club, and she said, and I quote, "A fight broke out and gunshots broke out." And Wendy Williams says that she went to the rafters of the venue to observe the situation, and she saw Method Man. And so pretty much she said, and I quote, he goes, "Yo, Wendy," because he's been on the show before and he was fucked up. "I smelt the weed and I had weed, but he had better. I rolled a blunt, we smoked the blunt, and we watched the fight. We heard the gunshots, the cops came in. I guess I batted my eyes and walked my shoulders and I said, 'You want to come over?' And he said, 'Yeah, I'll follow you.'" Unquote. So then Wendy Williams, explained how they snuck out the club, and, they hopped in the SUV, and that's when, they had their night with one another. Now, fast forward to February 1st, 2021, Tamika Smith, who was Method Man's wife, she was not happy at all about what Wendy has been saying. And mind you, she was still rightfully resentful about what had happened years prior with the whole cancer announcement on the radio. So, and on Instagram, Tamika pretty much accused Wendy of having an obsession with her and her husband. You know, and I quote, "For years I kept silence while Wendy Williams launched constant verbal attacks against my husband, myself, and our family. In the past, I ignored her lies, innuendos, and blatant attempts to provoke us. But Wendy has proven again and again that she is incapable of decency. His obsession with our lives has reached a new low, and I'm tired of taking the high road." Unquote. Tamika also called out Wendy for revealing the cancer diagnosis back in 2006 as, and I quote, "an obvious attempt to increase ratings for her biopic, struggling TV show, and he burnt out career." Jesus. And she also criticized Wendy Williams' plastic surgery and career. As I quote, "It was clear that she was sick and that she was struggling with a lot of issues, including self-hate and low self-esteem. Over the years, those issues have made her increasingly ugly, both inside and out, and no amount of plastic surgery can fix the ugliness inside of her. Instead of using your platform to uplift women, she has spent her career attacking marriages while her own fell apart. She criticized celebrities battling addictions despite her own struggles with her substance abuse." Unquote. And so Tamika closed the marriage, excuse me. She closed, her saying that, her and Method Man's marriage is solid, despite the one-night stand rumors. She said, and I quote, "Wendy Williams will forever be one of the most miserable bitches on the planet." Unquote. Whew. So that pretty much concludes the segment I've had about Wendy Williams. So say what you want to say about her and whatnot too. One thing people cannot disagree is that she never backed down from a challenge and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really the biggest Wendy fan and stuff like that, but I felt like I definitely had to talk about this episode. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Make sure y'all subscribe and check out all the other episodes of Why the Beef. Peace.
Competition out.